Sorry for the delay. Respected Major General Dr. G.S. Lamba, Principal BBS-BEC, Dr. Kanwalveer Singh Teensa, Professor and Head, Department of CSE, Dr. Manpreet Kaur, Head, Research and Innovation Center, and in charge BBS-BEC alumni, faculty members of BBS-BEC, research scholars,
Mechanical na?
delegates from industry, and my dear students, a very good morning to one and all. I, Sandeep Kaur Tanda, coordinator of the event, welcome all of you on this webinar, Journey from BBS BEC to Walmart Labs. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our distinguished speaker, engineer Arshpreet Singh Patti from batch 2011. Engineer Arshpreet Singh is working with Walmart Labs, Sunnyvale, USA. He has also done his Masters of Science in Software Engineering from San Jose University, California in year 2018. Prior to joining Walmart Labs, he has also worked with Vijo, San Jose, California from January 2019 to July 2019. He has also worked with Tab Ariba, California from July 2018 to September 2018. He is proficient in web technologies and UI frameworks like JavaScript, React.js, jQuery. He has also worked on database technologies like MongoDB, SQLite, cloud technologies like AWS EC2, AWS Lambda, etc. He has worked on projects like club website for the student organization at San Jose State University, Android applications using React Native, Node.js, Amazon Comprehend Network. He has an experience to create a React Native based Android application for master projects at San Jose State University. Now I request Major General Dr. G.S. Lamba, Principal BBS BEC, to formally welcome the distinguished speaker. Over to you, sir.
Sit down. Thank you, Sandeep. Very good morning to each one. It's my pleasure to interact with our alumni and welcome the participants on this webinar today. It has been the effort of Baba Banda Singh Bahadur Engineering College and all my departments to connect the present student fraternity with our alumni as well as the people who are with adequate industry experience. In that series, I think Engineer Arshpreet Singh Patti, who has been introduced by Sandeep very well, is an apt person to share his experience and his journey from Baba Banda Singh Bahadur Engineering College, thereafter doing his post-graduation and reaching Walmart, the kind of projects that he has worked on and his experience is worth emulating by many. I welcome Arshpreet on this webinar, and I'm sure that you would get a very considerable food for thought and guideline from your alumni as an elder brother. I also congratulate the computer science department to organize this webinar. I think this is the 6th or 7th webinar of this type. And I only reiterate for all the participants that they must be attentive and attend the webinar in full so that you can draw the benefit out of this. Once again, Welcome everyone. Good morning to you all and enjoy this professional interaction with Engineer Ashpreet Singh. God bless you. All the best.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. Now I request Dr. Kanwalveer Singh Teensa, Professor and Head, Department of CSE, to share departmental activities with the audience. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. My voice is audible,
Yes,
Sandeep?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, respected Major General Dr. G.S. Lamba, Principal, Bhavanda Singh Bahadur Engineering College, for addressing the audience. And this is our second event regarding the alumni webinar we are having. And we are really proud to host this event again, and because it becomes more useful when students who have passed out earlier, they share their experiences with the current students, and it is a sheer joy for everyone at BBSBC for hosting these kind of events. I welcome Engineer Arshpreet Singh Patti from batch 2011, who will be sharing his journey from moving from BBSBC BAPSEC to Walmart Labs USA, and he will be naturally detailing about all the aspects, how he has joined the company and what were the earlier experiences around that, and which will be very beneficial for the students. And many students have joined, and we have I regret again that Google Meet participants, they have reached 100, and it is due to the policy which have been just 15 days back. Again, I regret that more than 100 we can't have, but still I have received 15 requests of the participants to allow them. So there have been some technical issue in the YouTube page also. Okay, still we are resolving that, but on the Facebook page of the college it is going live. And if there is that issue is not resolved, we'll put the recording there, and all the students later participants, they can later on check the recording from there, whosoever were not able to join due to the Google policy. Okay, and it is with dedicated efforts of all the faculty and staff that this kind of thing has been enabled, which is being live streamed on the YouTube channel of CSE department and Facebook page of the college, in addition to the Google Meet. So three things have been live streamed, and I have got messages till now for after every webinar that this is a unique thing which college is hosting, and even from South and from Canada, I have got thumbs up messages regarding the same. So it is again one of the proud things we are having. Engineer Arshpreet Singh Patti is a very dedicated and hardworking student, we remember. And Professor Sandeep Kaur Tanda discussed with Arshpreet all the things like with this for webinar to be the distinguished speaker for the same. And he has very readily agreed for the same despite his busy schedule. So all the things will be discussed by Arshpreet, and coordinator of this webinar and in charge alumni of CSE department, Professor Sandeep Kaur Tanda. I again always appreciate the efforts of her for dedicatedly devoting herself to every thing which has been done in the department, and same for whatever he has done for the success of this webinar. Regarding CSE department, we have got NBA accredited for BTech CSE program, and we have started this time BCA, Bachelor of Computer Applications, also for 30 intake, and in addition to our BVOC software development, which was started last year. And we are having MTech CSE also, and so all students, many students have joined from that. And in addition to that, CSE department has got near about 10 Center of Excellence and academies like Oracle Academy, Red Hat Academy, Cisco. We are going to have that. Okay, and various initiatives have been taken for academic collaborations with the MNCs and with the IITs also, whether it is IIT Bombay, Madras, and Ropar. And all students, they are they are using all these kinds of online activities which are being taking place, and naturally it is a great help to use all softwares or labs which are being enabled for the students, and they are using that in these troubled times of COVID. So all this webinar again, I would again appreciate the efforts of Dr. Supreet Singh, Dr. Jitendra Singh Saini, and Sardar Deshveer Singh, who have always worked for making this event successful, and have given their great efforts for same for working. Uh, so I request all the participants to fill the feedback form of the same, and because many have registered, still whosoever will be filling the feedback form of this webinar, that will be floated in the chat box by Professor Sandeep Kaur in between. Okay, and you have to check for that, and be patient, and all participants whosoever will be filling that feedback form will be getting e-certificates. Okay, and so without taking more time, I request our distinguished speaker of today's alumni talk, and we have made it also industry alumni, industry academy interaction. In fact, okay, because this is industry part, and naturally that is what the NAC and NBA, they are looking for, how many events have been conducted regarding the same, and this is our second talk for the same. So I request Engineer Arshpreet, I think Professor Sandeep Kaur can again introduce, and then Arshpreet will be explaining, discussing everything. Okay, thank you everyone. Welcome Arshpreet.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to our distinguished speaker, Engineer Arshpreet Singh from Batch 2011. Over to you, Arsh.
All right. Hey guys. Thank you, Baba Banda Singh Bahadur Engineering College, and Dr. Kanwarveer, Dr. Sandeep, Professor Sandeep, and Principal Dr. G.S. Lamba for giving me this chance to talk to all the students and hopefully add something to their curriculum on the side, which they can perhaps use to uh, either further their knowledge into computer science, or if it helps you in getting a job further down the line, or if it inspires you in any way. That's the goal here, what I'm looking for. I will try to present my screen now. All right, Professor, can you see my screen? Professor Sandeep, can you tell me if you can see my screen?
Yes, Arshpreet, I can hear you.
Can you also see the presentation? Can you see my screen?
Yes, it is coming.
All right, thank you. All right, my name is Arshpreet, and I promise this is the last time I'm going to be introduced. This is about the 5th time already that I'm being introduced, but I promise this is the last time. In case in this entire presentation you do not understand anything, or if you'd like me to repeat anything, or if you'd like any kind of help, please put in your questions into the chat box. We'll probably address them at the end, but it'll be really helpful to know if, just in case you do not understand anything. All right, for the last time, my name is Arshpreet, and I went to Baba Banda Singh Bahadur Engineering College starting 2011 to 2015. It was one of the best experience I could perhaps have at a college in India. And starting there, I got after that I got my master's at San Jose State in California, United States. I got my master's in software engineering. After that, in that time, actually, I did an internship at SAP Ariba specifically, and I was a front-end developer. And all these terms, front-end developer, back-end developer, terms that we're going to be talking about, I will explain them better as we go throughout the next 40, 50 minutes, perhaps the most boring 40, 50 minutes of your life. Right. And after I did my internship, I worked as a software engineer at a startup called Wejo. They did very interesting stuff, which I would love to discuss with you, but not right now. And since then, after leaving that startup, I've been working at a enterprise level company, Walmart Labs, and as a software engineer. I do full front end and back end work for them. And I will explain what it is as we go. All right, so today's agenda for the next few minutes is going to be my experience at Balwant Singh Bahadur Engineering College, how it's helped me in my career as a software engineer, how it's motivated me to actually do something with the engineering degree that I got from this college. We'll focus then on how I went from as a student going to a college in Punjab to working at a enterprise level company in California and in Silicon Valley. And I'll perhaps also touch up a little bit on the point that what you can do or what you need to do to get as a job as a software engineer. And specifically, since I am a web developer, I will talk about a niche in the entire section of software engineering, which is web development. And we'll go through that for the major part of our presentation going here. All right. So yeah, believe it or not, I will just read the heading up. And believe it or not, I was not really a bright student. So contrary, the opposite to what Dr. Gunvalveer Singh just said, I really was not a good student. I did not really perform well in a lot of math classes. I failed them multiple times. I had multiple supplies. I had multiple supplies. And I'll put in a little bit Punjabi here and there. And yeah, of all classes that you could think that a software engineer or a future software engineer could fail, I failed FCPIT. That tells you how good of a student I was as I started. I was more involved in playing basketball. I was on the debate team for the college. I did a bunch of different co-curricular activities just because it got me time out of class. It gave me a reason to be outside of class. And that was my biggest motivation to be doing any of these co-curricular activities. I struggled a lot with keeping up with the general studies, to be honest. So if you ever get a doubt in your head today, if you're in the first year degree, second year degree, third year degree, if you ever think that this is going to stop you from becoming something in life, you can erase that doubt right now. I'm telling you, if I can be a software engineer, if I can be successful in life, no joke, this is something that probably a lot of people have told you already, but this is no joke. If I can be successful in life, you can too. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. The only person in between you and success is you yourself. I'm a prime example of that. And in the next slide, I'll tell you how I actually changed all of this and what actually led to me being successful in what I do as a professional engineer, software engineer now. So how did I get where I am today? So around the first 2 years was really a lot of just trying to understand and navigate the new ecosystem that I was around. Essentially, college is a very new experience. If you come from a bigger city to a smaller city, or if you come from a smaller city to a bigger city, there's always that transition. Or you might have gone to a school that looks very different. You might have gone to a school that's either too modern or not too modern. You might have gone to a school that does speak a lot of English or does not speak a lot of English. There could be a lot of differences between your school that you pass your 12th grade from and between the college that you actually end up in. So I was a victim of that problem. My environment was very different from where I came from. I hail from the city of Ludhiana, and I came into Fatehgarh Sahib, and I'd never left home, of course. Most of you who have never lived in a hostel before, it's a very new experience. There's more freedom, there's more of everything, there's no oversight from your parents. ਤੁਹਾਡੇ parents ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਦੇ ਕਹਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ that you have to be home at this time, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to be studying for a number of hours or anything like that. So that newfound freedom does lead to like some dark places sometimes. So anyway, so what happened, what changed me was around the third year. Actually, to be honest, most of my friends were all very good at their studies. It was just me and perhaps one or two of us that were not so good. Most of my friends, in fact, were also from mechanical engineering. I was the only software engineering, computer science guy in there. Excuse me. So around the third year is when I started thinking that there's no future. I don't come from a family that has a lot of land. I don't come from a family where if I did not do anything for myself, if it did not get some kind of a job, I will not be able to be successful in life. My parents are not going to haul me or paying me money for my entire life. There's no daskale that's waiting for me. Right? So to be honest, that's what I realized around the third year. The first thing that I started doing was I realized that getting a master's in software engineering would help me a lot. So that was something I wanted to focus on. So I started studying for the exam called GRE. This is the exam that allows you to move to the United States and perhaps even some good colleges in Canada. So if you want to get a degree in software engineering, computer science, anything related to that, you have to go through the exam called GRE. So I started doing that. I got a whiteboard. I placed it on the hostel room wall. GRE consists a lot of like simple math. When I say simple math, it's math up to like 10th grade. So it's simple math, but you got to do it really fast. The other section of it is English. The hard thing about GRE's English is you have to increase your vocabulary by many folds. You will learn so many words that you will never think are a part of the English language. And I'm not joking. That's why I had to learn how to learn a lot of new words in a very short amount of time. And that's how the whiteboard actually helped me. This is actually a habit that I picked from a mentor I had. My cousin lives in the United States. I visited the United States in 2012, and I had a chance to meet that guy, my cousin's friend, who was a software engineer for PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC. It's a really big company. So he's traveling all over the world. He has traveled to 117 countries working for that company. He travels business class. I really liked that life. I was like, what can I do to get that kind of a life? I want to go to all these countries and for free and going business class. And he made so much money doing that. So what he told me, how he changed his life, was that whiteboard. So I'm telling you, a whiteboard can really change your life if you actually want to learn something new in your life. And then what I started doing was started learning programming on my own. What that meant was I started with basic Linux commands. To be honest, I did have some proficiency with computers in the sense that I knew what Linux was. I knew how to install Linux on a Windows computer, how to dual boot a computer, things like those. But you don't even have to know any of this pre-hand. You can actually, knowledge or information is literally the cheapest commodity that there is out there. It's invaluable, but it's the cheapest thing out there because the internet. Everything is out there on the internet. You can learn programming. You can learn anything that you want from the internet today. And the internet is very cheap in India now, by the way. Your 2 gigabytes that you get every day on your phones, use it for a good cause. All right, so I started with Linux commands. I was really into hacking. So I installed a particular version of Linux. It's called Kali Linux. It's specifically used for penetration testing. That's the nice word for hacking, basically, where you can try to hack, like, on all those people out there that are always wondering, oh, can I hack this person's Gmail? Can I hack this person's Facebook? Well, it's not that easy. It's not that straight up. But you can get there. You can start learning using this. And saying this, I'm not trying to motivate you to learn hacking, but the point of it is to actually go out there and do something. If you even start with something as basic as the Linux commands, for example, the simplest command that you can think of, accessing a folder, cd the folder name. things like those. Exit out of that folder. Now you're inside the folder, exit out of it, cd space dot dot. You want to list out the files that are inside a folder, ls. So all these simple things get you started. Once you start, that's when you find your path, and perhaps you will land up on a certain technology that's going to interest you. For me, it was web development. And why it was web development, to be honest, I saw, I had a person who went to school with me at Bandha, and his name was Abe Tiwari. He, in his second year of degree, he did his internship for those 6 weeks of training that you do. He did it at Baba Banda Singh Bahadur, and he learned PHP here, and he sold an app for 70,000 Indian rupees on his own. He bought a motorcycle off of it. Not a good decision, but still, he made 70,000 in learning from something he learned in 6 weeks. So things like those motivated me. So that's how I got into all of this. And once I started, I sought out external help as well. So I got to start learning Java at NetMats during the third year of my BTech. So I was talking about the fact that you really need to have that motivation inside you to become something in your life. And that's only going to happen if you motivate yourself. Nobody is going to do it for you. Nobody's going to hand you money. You have to earn it. And in order to do that, you have to really, really get that motivation inside you. Money motivates some people, success motivates some people. Different people are motivated by different things. So whatever motivates you, find your niche and just get going. That's literally the best thing I can tell you out of all of this. So since I was motivated around the third year, you don't have to do anything in that summer of the third year. At least that was the rule when I was at Baba Singh Bahadur from 2011 to 2015. During the third year, you don't have to do anything. You're free for the summer. You could stay in hostel. You could do whatever you want. So I utilized that time, went to Chandigarh, lived in Chandigarh for those 2-3 months, learned Java. That opened a lot of doors for me. At NetMax, I started doing some programming for them. They even started paying me to do all of that. So that essentially opens doors for you once you actually start learning something into what you're paying to go to school for. You're paying 4, 5, 6 lakhs to actually get a degree. So it's great if you actually get something out of it. All right, I'm not going to bore you anymore with this. I will move on to some actual stuff with web development. So let's talk about some basic web development. And again, if you do not understand at any point, if you're confused about anything at any point, you can put in a very short message in the chat and we can talk about it after we're done. All right, let's take a journey through web development. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the web, how the internet works. So the internet is basically just a bunch of computers talking to each other, literally nothing more than that. I mean, you could get deeper than that, talking about like there's cables going, and that's the hardware part of it. There's 2 machines, there's a server, and there's a client. They communicate to each other using a set of rules that are called protocols that you study in your curriculum. HTTP, TCP, UDP, all different kinds of protocols. And that's how they communicate. They talk to each other, and that's when magic happens. Literally, when you open www.facebook.com or whatever website that you use every day, or I'm pretty sure that all of you use your mobile phones that you use more than computers. So if you're going on Instagram, if you're going on TikTok, if you're going on anything, all of that is enabled by the internet. And what is the internet enabled by? Literally 2 machines or multiple machines talking to each other using a specific set of rules. So that's the internet. And have you ever imagined, to be honest, this is one question that actually came to my mind when I started learning web development, because I wanted to learn the very basics of it. Like what happens when you type a URL and hit enter. What that means is you open Google Chrome, you open Safari, whatever browser you have. You look at the address bar, you type in an address, www.google.com. What happens after you press enter? There's a lot of layers down there that we could talk about. We could talk about the fact that since you do this in a browser, your browser translates into machine code, all of that, and then sends a network request out to a server. But we'll just focus on the server communication part right now, because my focus on this is to make you understand what a front end and a back end is, like we were talking earlier. So I told you that I do basically front end development for Walmart. So what that is going to make sense after I explain it to you in the next few slides. So let's say the person, Tim, made this fantastic web page. He wants to share it to the world. All this web page is, so let's say you go to www.tim.com. What happens then? There's going to be this website that's going to open up. All it's going to say is hello world. This is one of the most basic examples you can think of. So let's say you put your code on a web page that's on a computer that's always running. What that computer is called is a server. So server is the computer where your web page lives in, right? So these two states, these two green boxes that you see on your screen right now, on the left is the state of California. On the right is the state of Arizona. So let's say you have your client. I am sitting in San Jose, California, and my client is my browser, so Google Chrome. I enter www.tim.com. What that does is send a request to that specific server where that web page is located. It's located in a server in Arizona, let's say. Let's say you do that in Punjab, and that server is sitting in Bangalore. So it's in Karnataka. It's in a different state. That communication happens. You ask them, okay, I am requesting this page. What happens is your name, the name www.tim.com is translated to something called an IP address. I'm pretty sure all of you have already studied what IP addresses are. IP address is just like the address of a house. Like every place has an address, so do computers, so do these clients and servers. That's the way they know where to go. If you were to go from, let's say, Ludhiana to Fatehgarh Sahib, you would have to go to start from a specific address, which is your home address, and land at a specific address, which is the college address. So you need to tell someone that I need to go from here to there. That's how you identify these two places. That's the same with computers. My client, which is my web browser, lives at 169.232.116.21, right? The server lives at 193.45.12.4. So this process of knowing that www.tim.com, that tim.com is translated to this address. This part is called DNS resolution. What that means is you're going from that name to this address, to this real IP address. The server does not understand what tim.com is. There's another part inside your client, inside your browser, and there's multiple layers inside your Wi-Fi router, inside your IP gateway, where your internet company. There's multiple places where you can get to know what this is. Where does tim.com live? So we send a request, we typed in www.tim.com, and we press enter. Now the DNS resolution has taken place. The request goes to the right server, and boom, the place has that request now. Now, that place's name, as we discussed earlier, it has an address, it has a name. Now it knows that the request is there. So when you're making that request, you're essentially trying to go from one address to another, right? We already talked about that. So the client is trying to say that I would like to request this web page, please. The server says, yes, here it is. It sends you whatever information is living on that server. What's the information? It's the web page that we saved there. After all of this, the information reaches back to client. The client is your laptop, your computer, your phone. It's the application inside your machine, in this case, Google Chrome. And then it translates all that information, does a lot of work in the background, and shows you whatever that page is supposed to be. In this case, it's just literally a string of words. It says, hello world, right? So hopefully that clears up what internet is and what happens when you actually press enter. I'll give you a better link it's a link on a website called medium.com. It's a very nice article by this engineer from India. He's outlined it pretty well, detailed. So you can look at that if you need more details on how all of this magic happens. All right, we could see this action happening in Google Chrome. Let's do that really quick. So if you can still see my screen, Professor Sandeep, can you still see my screen? Can you see that I have opened arshpati.heroku.com?
Yes, Arsh, it's coming better.
All right, so now what I'm gonna do is, by the way, this is my portfolio in case any of you got a chance. This actually lives at www.arshpati.com, but I am working on my work laptop and they have blocked my portfolio for some reason. So I'm going to the other URL that I have available, which is this. So this is my portfolio. This is a website that I built as practice to learn this framework called React, to learn JavaScript, to learn web development during my years at San Jose State when I was trying to apply for jobs, trying to get an internship. This was my way to put myself out there. We'll talk about this later, perhaps even outside of this lecture. So that's my portfolio. It tells you who I am, what I do. It tells you the projects that I've made, and this is pretty old, so it does not even contain any of my professional experiences. But it basically lets you understand who I am. It has my Facebook link, it has my GitHub link, my LinkedIn link. You can click on any of these buttons and it will land you on all of these. So you could even download my resume. So what happens when we enter www.arshpati.com, or in this case, arshpati.herokuapp.com? So this is Chrome DevTools. This enables you to have a look under the hood. What that means is, like, you lift the bonnet of a car, the front of a car, to see how the engine works, to perhaps put in some more water into your windshield or replace some brake fluid or do something. This allows us to do that. All right, so I will refresh the page and you see all these different things that pop up in here. Essentially what these are all the requests that are made by this browser. These are all the outgoing requests. So the first request goes to arshpati.heroku.com and it sends a bunch of things that you don't need to worry about right now. The request took about 7 milliseconds to finish, and it sent back a bunch of different files. You can look, like, all of these are a bunch of different files and they mean shebang that you do not need to understand right now. All of these are images, by the way, on the bottom. And so this is how the communication takes place between the server and the client. All right, we'll move on. Just give me 1 second. All right, back on there. So what is web development? It's literally you, a software engineer, trying to develop all of these pages. So you will enable the you will enable both sides, server side code and front end code. When I say front end, what that means is you will make whatever is, for example, on this page that you just saw that it says, hi, my name is this, it says all this. I put in some fancy stuff too where you can play with these things. It says all this information. That is the front end. Anything that you see visually is mostly front end. So that's why they call it front end development. And that's why I am a primarily front end developer. That's what it means. So I hope you now understand what my role at SAP was. I was a front end developer intern. So that's what I did there. I developed all these pages for them that showed you a bunch of stuff on there, right? So what is backend development? Backend development is everything that enables the server, like we talked about earlier, the server to send everything to the front end, to your browser. It's all the programming that you need to do on server to enable it to send whatever information is needed to display all of this. To actually make that product, to actually make the website is front end. To actually deploy it and enable all other things is backend development, right? So I actually had slides for this and I forgot. So building sites and applications for the World Wide Web is all front end development. Developers write code that describes what's shown in the browser and what should be sent to the browser and more, and actually a lot more. That is backend development. That's server-side code. That's the boring stuff. No, I'm just joking. It's not boring. It's very interesting, but I don't like to do that. I like front-end development. So that's just because with front-end development, you can actually see what you're doing. With most of programming, there's nothing visually appealing. There's no colors to it. There's nothing that appeals to you like, oh, I made this. I made a rectangular box and I made it bounce. What does that remind you of? That reminds you of this box that is going up and down right now. That is what my juice is. That's what drives me to do all of this. So I did learn front-end development before I did back-end development. So the foundations of front-end development are HTML, CSS, JS. Do not worry about what that is right now. I will explain to you what all of this is. Hopefully some of you have already been exposed to some of this, but I will go into a little bit more detail as to what they are and how you can learn any one of these. Yeah, they even have their own logos. So what is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Boring, old abbreviation that you do not need to remember. But in case you want to understand what it is, hypertext. That word looks very interesting. What that means is that it's just a link. Like if you look at the chat that I posted earlier, okay, hopefully everybody can hear me now. And anyways, I don't have my chat anymore, but I'll type in a link in here. So HTTPS, this is the syntax to write a URL, www.arshpati.com. So I posted that, right? So you see how that everything that I typed in black just became blue. And once you click it, it opens something else up, right? Interesting stuff. So what that is a hyperlink. So anything that is clickable like that, we define that as a hyperlink. So hypertext markup language, it's mostly just links. Links everywhere. Where does this link to? Somewhere. All right, so markup. What does the word markup in there mean? Markup is just the structure of the entire page, essentially, where you see how do you write HTML? How do you write code that enables you to put this, logo right here? How does it enable you put this word called intro right here, this word about, and all these images, this alignment of things? How does this image show up only on the right side of the page? Why does it not show up on the left side of the page? All of this is markup, right? So back in the old days, when we had printing presses, for example, or we had newspapers, if you wanted to show some text in bold, you had to do all of it manually. Essentially, newspapers were the HTML of olden times, if you really think about it. I just thought of it right now. Sounds pretty interesting. All right, so that is markup. Similarly, HTML, it's not just links, it's a lot of links, but there's a bunch of tags. So everything that you see right here, this arrow sign, this less than, this P, this greater than, and then whatever text is inside here. So you open this P tag and you close this P tag. How you know that this tag closes is that you put in a /. How you open a tag is by declaring it like this. How you close a tag is by putting a / in front of it. So everything inside of here is a paragraph tag. This tag is called a P tag, a paragraph tag. Just like that, there is a bunch of different types of text. EM, that stands for emphasized. So this text will be emphasized. If you want to declare a button, there is a tag called button, and you could do that. So all of these tags, they describe the structure and content of the page. Hopefully you can still see my screen, and I will do this. Let's create an HTML file really quick. So this is Visual Studio Code, what you can see on your screen. It's just like Notepad, like you open Notepad or Microsoft Word on your page. This is specifically for writing code. All this enables you to do is to write any kind of code, to be honest. It's the best for writing JavaScript, but it's also good for most of other languages. So let's just write a very, very, very basic HTML page. And this is how you actually write it. So I'm trying to do this very, very quickly live as we go. So I just created a file. I'm going to name it hello.html. Let's save it on my desktop. And now you see what this is it's just a bunch of different tags like we saw earlier. I'm going to zoom in more so everybody can see better. So it's a bunch of different tags. It's called HTML, it's called body, there's a P tag, all that says is hello, right? So I will now try to open the same page in Google Chrome. So I just saved that file called hello, and it says hello. So there's a bunch of different tags that you could use instead of paragraph. You could use heading, like we saw the tag emphasize. All HTML is just this type of code. And all this enables you to do is for it to tell you, okay, this is what I want to show on the screen. So I now put in hello, I saved the file, I'm gonna refresh the page. Now you see it's italic and it's emphasized. So you could do that with a bunch of different tags. You have image tags, you have a button if you wanted to. I could say click this, like you go on a Facebook, it has buttons, right? So this is a button, it lets you click it. I am right now trying to click this page. An action happens and you could attach something to it. When you click this page, the profile of the button of the person opens. Let's go to LinkedIn really quick. So you see all of these different things right here are essentially, all of this is HTML. It's a bunch of HTML, but it's way more fancier. I'll tell you how to make it fancy in just a little bit, but I'm going to show you what I meant when I said that it's really just all HTML. If you look at and try to inspect anything on any web page, you can actually look at what it actually says. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen this trick where people go, let's take this example. Sidhu Moosewala, he's one of the most famous Punjabi singers these days. People try to change, for example, his name to something else, like Sidhu Wala. Now I'll say his name right here. A lot of people have done that trick. It's just inspecting elements. So what I'm trying to say here is it's all just HTML, but it's just placed in specific ways. Now, how do we place all of this HTML in specific ways? You use CSS. Let me go back to CSS. I couldn't find CSS. Here's CSS. So the second part to web development, other than the structure of HTML, is CSS. So let's go back to what we were doing. So HTML only represents context, and a different language called CSS is used to create rules about the style. What is CSS? It's literally called cascading style sheets. Nothing special about that you need to remember. We'll talk about it later. So what kind of rules would you create with that HTML? What do these rules mean? What do these amount to? So like we were typing our code in here, let's turn this back into a P tag. You can type something called style in here. And I can tell it that, okay, make the color of this. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place right now. There we go. So the color red. Let's tell it that this text also needs to be bold. I'll save this file. I'll go back to my HTML page. I'll refresh the page. Now you see that hello is in color red and it's more bold. So that is CSS. You could tell it to do a bunch of different things. There's literally no number to it. So you could tell it to increase the size of something. You could tell it to place something on somewhere. You could tell it to For example, that this navigation bar should stick to the top of the screen, which, for example, in my portfolio, if you go there, it does that. If you keep scrolling on my portfolio after you pass the first section, this bar appears. How do you make it appear? CSS. All right, so let's look at the syntax really quick. I'm gonna skim through this really quick because I don't want to bombard you with a lot of information that you won't be able to digest in a small amount of time. But we'll still try to skim through everything. So the syntax of CSS looks like this. That you can tell it that, okay, the body of the entire HTML should have the color red. And by the way, this this thing that you see in here that's in green is called a property. So this property, color means that you want the color of the text to be red, just like we did with this button. We wanted the color of whatever is inside here to be red. And by the way, all of this style that I'm writing in here, this is called inline styling. Don't worry about that right now. The point here is it does not look the same as it looks in here. That's because we declared the CSS in the same file as HTML. What we could have done is written a separate file for this HTML, call it whatever, .css, and attach that file to this. How do you attach it? We can look at it later. All right. So this body is called the selector. What that is that you're telling it, okay, apply this property, whatever properties are inside these curly braces, to everything that's inside the body. What is the body? Everything inside here. Literally all of HTML that you see on any page is always inside the body. So if you inspect, let's say, LinkedIn.com, at the top of everything, it's going to say body. So if I were to attach body color red right here, if I were to say color red, everything of everything for the color should turn red. It doesn't turn red right here just because they have extra rules that are overtaking my rules. All right, moving forward. This is the property, and what you attach to it is the value. So that was the simplest example of HTML and CSS that you can get. So how do you link your CSS file to your HTML file? You could literally put in something called a link tag and give it a property of relay of style sheet that tells it that this is a style sheet. Links can be of different types, and that's why you have to tell HTML that this is of the type style sheet. Then you type in href. What that means is you're giving it a link. Where is this file? The computer does not know where this file lives. So you need to tell it the name and where this file lives. That's how you declare that. I think we're short on time to write more CSS, so I'm gonna skip through this. But what you could, we could perhaps do this at a later stage. But I will show you this cool animation that I was going to do with us if we had more time, which is right here. So you see how this button is jumping up and down? What that does for me is that it gives recruiters that would come to my website a something that they're, and this is eye candy, literally. It gives them eye candy that, look at this, download my resume, please download my resume. That lets them, that gets all their attention into one spot and tries to capture their attention. So that you could do a bunch of different stuff with CSS. There's very fancy stuff out there that we can talk about at a certain at a later stage. That's what CSS enables you to do. So that's animations that you can do with CSS. These are all a bunch of different properties that you could do or get or do with CSS. You could turn the background color of something to light blue. You could turn the background image of something to something. You could set the font weight to be less than bold. You could have a text decoration. All of this allows you to create a web page, HTML and CSS. Now you know how to create a basic page that says hello world. After that, you make the color of that page. You make certain properties about that page a certain way. You make it bold, you make it red. How do you do that? CSS. The last thing that does that it is a part of web development is JavaScript. So going back through all these slides, it's the last icon that we saw on here that's in green, JS. It stands for JavaScript. What does JavaScript let you do? JavaScript is something that makes all of this work together in the sense that it enables you to do interactive stuff. Let's say you open a Instagram on your phone. If you open it in your browser, not in the app. If you open that in the browser, JavaScript is what enables you to run those videos, to click on buttons, to do all this different type of interactions that you can do with it. You click on this button, you could change the text to button click. That's the simplest example of what you can do on a button click. That is what JavaScript is used for. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna open my speaker notes. All right, so it allows you to change something about the page based on a particular event or condition. What was the particular event in this case? That you clicked a button. And this action of doing, of clicking the button and doing something with it is called manipulating the DOM. Now, what the hell is DOM? DOM stands for Document Object Model. What that is it's just a representation of that HTML into what the browser can understand. Essentially, actually, that may not be accurate. What's more accurate is that it's just a different kind of a presentation of the same HTML, CSS into what the browser can manage. It's if you've studied binary trees, it's literally a binary tree. So what is JavaScript? It's a language that enables you to make your web pages more interactive. So let's just see JavaScript interaction. I think we could still do this. Professor Sandeep, how much time do we have left?
We have about 10 minutes.
Okay. We'll not, I think I could still do it. Right. So if you were to attach any JavaScript to what we're doing here, you would write everything inside a script tag. And I'm literally going to do everything that we did right here. So in order to, let's say, make this this button do something, I'm going to give it an ID, which lets me identify that this is my button. Right. So let's access this button by this random function that you do not know what that is, by specifying, by accessing this function called document.getElement by ID. I'm grabbing this button and I'm telling it that on click of this button, do this. All right, what are we doing? We're setting the inner HTML of this thing into something else. So let me give an ID to this hello. This is our P tag. I will call it P tag. We're gonna do the same thing that we did here. So I'm gonna copy paste that. And what this element is a P tag. I'm gonna set its inner HTML to hi. So essentially, what should our code do now? On clicking this button, we should be able to change this hello to a hi. Well, let's see if that works. I'm gonna refresh page. If I click this, it's giving me problems. Okay, So one of the things that you will learn as you learn JavaScript is that all of these functions, all of this binding that you see, all of this gibberish that you see needs to be also interpreted right, understood right by the browser, right? So that was not happening in this case. So what this function would essentially let you do, I think I have restrictions on my work laptop, so it won't let me do this example. But what this is supposed to basically do, just 2 lines of code, what this would do is that clicking on this button will let you change the text of this, or whatever we specified in here, from hello to hi. That is what JavaScript does. That's a really basic example of JavaScript. All right, so going back to the question that we asked ourselves earlier, what happens when you type a URL and hit enter? Try to ask yourself this question over and over, not to cram, not to like just remember what happens. It's just to get an understanding of how web works. And once you get an understanding of how web works, how the internet works, you can get a better understanding of how web development works. You could get started into HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So if you want to land a career into web development, I would suggest that you start learning by learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. A great resource for that is W3 Schools. So you could look up on Google what W3 Schools is. It also gives you a very nice roadmap of how you can become a web developer. There's other courses on Udemy and Coursera as well, in case you want something that's more structured, that's paid, where you will have perhaps some exercises, something that you can practice everything with. There's those things as well. And I am also going to look into the possibility after this lecture, if it goes well, if we get good feedback out of it, to turn this into a recurring thing which happens over and over. And perhaps we could try to develop a short course where I go on over how to do the basic web development, like CSS, HTML, and JavaScript, just like we did today. That will all depend on what on the questions, how you answer on that form, and if time permits, if everything hits, then yep, we will go through all that. That will be it for me. If you have any questions about today, if you have questions about how to get better in your curriculum, or I want to be able to help you with math, to be honest. I passed that really hard, but what I would be able to help you with is to tune yourself in a way where you can be successful in life using the degree that you're getting at Baba Banda Singh Bahadur. You could ask me questions about GRE, how to come to America, how to get a master's in software engineering, how to get a master's in computer science, how to get to America in order to do that. If you want to stay in India and try to get a job out there, how would you acquire any of the skills? The fastest way to reach me is through email. Even faster than that is email. And if you want to go light speed at 300,000 or 3 lakh kilometers a second, you could still do that using email. And that will be it for me.
Thank you, Arshpreet. So with all that, we will go ahead and take some time for questions. There is one question from Vikas Kumar, that how important it is to keep alumni data up to date over time. I think he's asking that how important it is to keep your bio data up to date over time.
Right. Perhaps if that is the question you're trying to ask us, If that is we understood it right, then let me know. Otherwise, we just retype your question. But building your resume, first you need to have some skills to put on a resume. So you need to first acquire some skills. I am telling you, just having a degree from a college, you could get it from IIT. It would still not matter. Nobody's gonna give you a job unless you actually know what you're doing. Uh, there's programs by companies like TCS and Infosys where they take you in and train you on certain things, but you still have to have some basic skills in order to even get in. They have aptitude exams. They have a bunch of different stuff. And there's a very slim chance, to be honest, that I think other people that have actually had jobs in India would be able to answer this question better. And I actually listened to the last speaker that spoke before me, and I think they elaborated on this a lot. So for me, I think in my point of view, the best thing to do is to acquire skills, is to know. If you want to start specifically, let's say in web development, you could start with HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And to be honest, in my experience from being a student to transitioning over to a professional job where I am being paid to do software engineering, skills is what has helped me the most. So if you're talking about resume building, that will happen after you acquire skills. So acquire some skills, and then you can work on building a resume and all those things. Those things are, to be honest, easier to work out. Bigger thing is to actually like have something that somebody will pay you for. Nobody's gonna even pay you to cut grass if you don't know how to cut grass. So I think there's another question right there, Professor will answer from Shivam Singla.
Yeah, it's look like there's one more question. Shivam Singla is asking, what do you do as a software developer in Walmart?
Okay, very quickly, I will present my screen again. So if you were to go to walmart.com.mx, I work at Walmart Mexico's website. So I work on this link, and then I also work on their groceries website, which is super.walmart.com.mx, which is this. And I also work at Bodega Aurrera, which is essentially another business that Walmart has in Mexico. I work in the Mexico division of Walmart, so everything that Walmart does while doing web development in Mexico, I do all of that. I do the server side code for this. I do the client side HTML, JavaScript, CSS for this. There's a bunch of layers on top. It's more complex than what I presented today. But this was a very quick 1 hour, 40 minute refresher on how to get into it. Another question that we have is, well, young people are attached to their phone. How does texting work with older graduates? I'm going to skip this and talk about a more relevant question coming from Mansi Kashyap. What should be the plan or roadmap for doing masters in the US? How to start? The first thing that you need to do that's going to be foremost in all of this is to look into the exam called GRE. Try to understand what this exam is, and start learning new words for the English section of it, and start doing the math section for it. Do a lot of quantitative math that you did up until your 10th grade. It's basic math that you did until 10th grade, but you have to do it in a very short amount of time. So it's good practice for that. Get a whiteboard like I did and just start on it. And once you get your GRE done, then you can apply to universities and then the visa process and all of that works. So the most important thing out of all of this is GRE. And I
There is
think there's another.
one more question from Harpreet Singh. How HVPE course helps you to understand the insights of ethical software development?
All
This
right,
has
I know who this question is from. So this person is actually my friend who went to college with me, Harpreet. Um, so answering your question, Harpreet, Human Values and Professional Ethics was a great course that we took. I don't know if it's still being taught at our school or not, but I've never actually thought about it. But to be honest, as a software engineer, you do not really dictate the direction of a company. So if you were to apply any of those principles into a business, it has to be done on a business level. It has to be coming from the executive, from the CEOs, from the CFOs. So essentially, I can't apply any of that. I am a puppet of Walmart. They tell me to do something, I do it in exchange for money. That's what software engineering is.
there is one more question from Vikas Kumar. What projects or tasks are performed in a typical week in this job?
Okay, that's a really good question. Let me share my screen again and I'll try to answer it really quick in 2 minutes. So like I showed you that website, let's go to, for example, super.walmart.com. So this is the groceries website for walmart.com, right? If you look on this feature right here, right? So this is your cart. This is your cart. Everything that you can add to your cart will appear on this side. So let's say I add this to the cart. It's up here, right? So my team works in 2-week sprints. A sprint is a allocated time for doing development and testing of a product. In our case, the product is this website, and in that 2 weeks of time, I tell my product manager. Product manager is the person who brings me the stuff, who tells me what to do, what are we going to do. It defines what needs to be done. For example, we developed this new button that lets you switch between grams and pieces, for example. So I did this in about 2 sprints, which is for 4 weeks of work, about a month of work. So there's a lot of front end and back end work involved for this. Typically, that's what web development would look like if you were to work as a web developer. I hope that answers your question, Vikas.
So it looks like we have covered all of your questions. Thank you, Arshpreet. Students are really enlightened by your knowledge. Now I request Dr. Manpreet Kaur, Head RIC and in charge BBS BEC Alumni, to present vote of thanks and give a brief introduction about the alumni cell activities. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello, am I audible, Sandeep?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, audible.
Good afternoon to one and all. Honorable Principal Sir, Head of the departments, deans, my colleagues, staff members, students, and our esteemed guest of the day, our alumni, Arshpreet Singh Patti. It's my privilege to present the vote of thanks in the today's webinar. Being the college alumni coordinator, on behalf of the college, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to our alumni. Thank you for sparing your valuable time. I hope your experience, your knowledge, your advice will help the student to choose the right field and the right path. You guided the students towards making helpful career decisions. So, Arshpreet, I'm very delightful to have with you amongst us, and you guided a very very gracefully, very beautifully to the students about their career decisions. And I hope you will be in touch with us in future also. And as and when you come to India, you must visit your alma mater. Actually, our alumni, they feel very motivated, very inspired to listen to their alumni. They
Oh,
love to listen to
absolutely.
their
Yeah.
alumni. Yeah. And it's very nice to listen to you, like you agreed to be the mentor for our students. Like as and when, I hope they will ask you some questions, some career guidance they seek from you, and you will always help. uh,
Absolutely. I will always be available to everyone at BBSBC.
Thank you so much. So for students, I again request and I suggest, it's my sincere advice to the students that please attend these type of seminars, listen to the advice of your alumni. And being the alumni coordinator, I also want to give the few tips that help the students to prepare for their future career while you are in college. So, my dear students, please listen. I am just giving you brief tips only. Like, first tip is seek the internship opportunities. Actually, in other colleges like PEC or IIT, the student there, they themselves uh, search for the internship opportunities in various companies. And when they visit the profile of the companies, like they ask to the human resource departments, so they get an opportunity. They are familiar with the company's profile, company's culture. So it all depends upon the student to student. You have to do some research so that you could find the better internship opportunities in the better companies. And the second
Uh,
point is, like, yes, Ashpreet, you
yeah,
want to
yeah.
say something?
Manpikar, I'll like to add to that. I think what she said was completely on point, that nobody is going to do it for you. You could be
Yes.
literally going to IIT, and even they do not give you internships. Like, companies are not like standing outside your door to give you an internship. You have to
Yes,
apply yourself. You
yes. The
have to
students
go to
have to,
LinkedIn.
yeah, they have to do research themselves. Like one of my friend's son, he is studying in PEC Chandigarh. So he is doing his internship in UK, and it is only because of his effort only, not the
Yep.
college efforts. It is mainly his effort. College has to provide the documents, provide the guidance, but the student has to work himself also. So next point is consider taking part in the work study programs. So actually this culture is not, I think, in India. The student, they should work also along with the study, but I think uh, it will uh, uh, it will enhance their personality if they do this only. Third point is grow your skills and knowledge, as Arshpreet already guided you. Fourth point is get an early start, stay focused, keep your skills up to date, pursue your passion, build your network. Like when you talk to your professors, your faculty, your friends, your alumni, and through various social sites which the college provides you, you can build your network. And this is the very good way to reach to the better companies, better people. Then listen to your school's career advice, create opportunities, and find companies on social media. So these are few tips by which you can have your you can make your future better while in the college only. So I hope you enjoyed, you learned a lot from this webinar. And I again want to congratulate the computer science and engineering team, Dr. Kamal V. Singh Tinsa, Professor Sandeep, who is the CSC Alumni Coordinator. It is an entire team effort, and the faculty of CSC has done a very great job in organizing this, and I congratulate everyone. I once again express my thankful, extreme, sincere thanks to our principal, sir, for giving us the motivation, encouragement, guidance in organizing such type of seminars. Thank you, Arshpreet. Thank you all for being with us, and I hope you will also be in touch with us. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
Dr.
so much
Margaret.
for your kind words. Thank you, Arshpreet, for enlightenment. Thank you, dear students. We appreciate you being here. So we have given the link to fill the feedback form. I request all the participants to fill the feedback form. Thank you, everyone, once again. So I'll be sharing the feedback form with you, Arshpreet, also.
All right, that sounds good.
Okay. Thank you so much once again.
All right, thank you, everyone. If anyone has any questions, please direct to my email. I'll be glad to help.